And the Executive Council of Australian Jewry co-CEO Alex Ryvchin has responded to the anti-Israel graffiti incident in Sydney's East. Let's bring you his comments now.
It's obviously a very distressing day for local residents and also members of the Jewish community to wake up to this sort of violation, to see property damage daubed with anti-Israel, anti-Semitic slogans, to see a car set alight in this leafy Sydney suburb. It's immensely distressing. But no aspect of this surprises us. For over a year now, we've seen the extremism of the anti-Israel movement. We've seen an escalation in their rhetoric and in their deeds. We've seen graffiti of this sort around this neighbourhood. We've seen the targeting of Jewish businesses, the scorching of a Jewish MP's office, and for it to escalate to this point, it's hardly surprising. I think Australians have had a gutful of this. It's a time for strong leadership, decisive police action, and to put an end to this nonsense once and for all. You know, we've seen for a long time now them broaden their targets, from the Christmas display at Myer in Melbourne to MPs who are Jewish and non-Jewish, shops and businesses with very vague, limited associations with the Jewish community. So when you're dealing with fanatics and extremists, they will target anyone and everyone because that conforms to their worldview that you're either with them or against them. So it's not surprising. And extremism, terrorism has always had multiple victims. It always affects society as a whole. So while their primary villain in their narrative might be the Jewish community in the State of Israel, ultimately it's all Australians that suffer for it. Actually, we've heard from our friends in the Kurdish community. They're aghast and appalled by what's happened, as everyone is, and any suggestion that some of their people might have been involved, they're horrified by that notion. They're standing in full solidarity with the Jewish community. We have long-standing ties and mutual respect and admiration with that particular community. And, you know, this is an act of extremism. And ultimately, the PKK is not representative of the Kurdish plight and the Kurdish national movement. They're a prescribed terrorist organisation, and terrorists are terrorists at the end of the day. Local residents will no doubt be feeling incredibly violated. To know that as they slept in their homes that this sort of thing was happening on their streets, to know that a car was set alight and it could have easily spread to other vehicles, it could have spread to homes, people could have been killed. They'll be terrified. And for the Jewish community, you know, this is an area that's very close to numerous Jewish communal facilities. Obviously, because of the nature of the graffiti, we feel that we've been targeted as well. And when you look at events abroad, whether in Amsterdam or just the escalating nature of the anti-Israel movement in this country, there's an anxiety and a fear. And there's a very real fear that this could eventually lead to someone getting killed. The only way this will stop is through decisive police and political action. And when you see people holding aloft the portraits of terrorist leaders on the streets with little or no police action, when you see someone who lit the electorate office of a Jewish MP in Melbourne get a slap on the wrist and nothing more, that sends a signal to rogue actors, to extremists, to would-be terrorists in our society that they can escalate, that they can get away with these sorts of things. The only way to counter terrorism and extremism and fanaticism is through strength and through force, and we're not seeing enough of that at the moment.
And the